Well, we've now had the final, two-part finale of The Bad Batch Season 2, and oh boy was it a rough one. And a good one at the same time. It all started off with the Bad Batch planning to figure out how to rescue Crosshair. What could go wrong? Trouble is, they didn't know where Dr. Hemlock, the man who captured, who was holding Crosshair prisoner, was, nor did the fact that they guessed where he could go. They debated it for a while, given the fact that whatever information they had on Dr. Hemlock and the Imperial Advanced Research Division was relatively scant. And its shadowy leader, Dr. Hemlock, outside of the fact of him being part of the Republic Science Corps one time, and he being thrown out due to unconventional and unorthodox experiments that most likely breached almost every form of ethics in the Republic, was enough. But at the same time, there was a lot of strange things going on. The Empire kept losing ground, and they decided in order to track down Crosshair, who most likely would be at a place where Dr. Hemlock located him, they decided to go to dock the long tracking device on Dr. Hemlock's shuttle. Unfortunately, all the shuttles looked alike, so they didn't know which one. But at the same time, when they arrived there, they realised that part of the base's surveillance system has been knocked off, and they're not sure what was going on. However, also at the same time, given the fact that Dr. Hemlock was at a conference at Tarkin's castle on Iriadu. You know, quite a castle it is too. But also at the same time, it turns out the fact the reason for part of the security system being offline was the fact that Saul Guerrero and a band of partisans that he most likely recruited were planning to kill Tarkin by planting explosives in his fortress. I think the other thing was the fact that we actually saw shock troopers in stormtrooper armour. They've definitely been replaced. But also we're starting to see, I think, some of the flaws of the stormtroopers. They are nowhere near as good. I mean, a squad of clones can easily evade them. I think the other thing that is getting particularly good as of late is the fact that what was particularly good about it was the fact, Omega had the chance to shine. She was tasked with literally planting the homing beacon, given the fact that Wrecker was too big, where she could easily plant it. And she did plant it. However, that plan was completely scuppered when Saul Guerrero decided to detonate his explosives. And the way the Bad Batch got in was they planted their shuttle outside of the Imperial security, outside the region of the base, and then went in via a monorail, as a means of keeping the stormtrooper barracks linked to the fortress. Maybe to a supplemental barracks, something like that. And we got some pretty cool scenes as well, culminating with the mission going wrong and Saul Guerrero making his escape after detonating his explosives, destroying the facility and completely blowing the Bad Batch's means of escape. That was quite good. And then in episode 16, things go from bad to worse. Tech tries to save the Bad Batch and get the monorail cars running again, given the fact the explosion knocked out their power system. But Tarkin scrambles his air defense wing of V-Wings. And here's the thing. Apparently some stormtroopers also qualify as V-Wing pilots. So, and I would have expected for the Empire to actually have a dedicated piloting program by that time. At least by this. But then again, because some of the early stormtroopers might actually be clones. They're just wearing the armour. I think the other good thing about the whole process was the fact that just how many casualties Saul Guerrero, or rather the fact how bad the mission went, ending with almost like the fact of Tech hanging from a line, telling his squad to execute Plan 99, and realising the fact that they've turned to rescue him could potentially put the entire squad at risk, so he shoots the cable and clamps and falls to his death. They get moving, but trouble is I think the fact of how much power they sent through and they're moving too quickly. And then they crash. And everyone's injured, but Omega comes off worst of all. And we get the semi-conscious scene which is carried back to the shuttle. They try and patch her up. And then, worst of all, is the fact that Tech didn't make it. But what really surprised me was that after the battle, while everyone was still recuperating, it seemed the fact that Omega has a surprising healing ability. She was, despite being, I think, the one who came off worst, I mean, Wrecker was in a neck brace, and Hunter was also pretty banged up. She was the one who healed the quickest. Other means the fact the skill of the medical droid, telling them to focus all his attention on her, or the fact that Omega has quite possibly maybe an enhanced healing factor. So she could be a prototype for a new kind of clone, but we may never really know the full truth to that. But I think the best bit about the whole thing was the fact that when Sid sold them out, she said the fact they were just too hot. And Hemlock and the Bad Batch meet face to face, and oh my god, the fact that the only thing they could find of Tech was his smashed goggles. That was certainly something quite bizarre. I'm surprised the fact they went back to Sid and didn't go back to the island. The Empire hardly ever really knows about the place, and it's a good place to settle down. Of course, the Empire will eventually go there eventually, but I can't see the Empire actually going, at least for some time. I mean, that's the one thing about hyperspace travel. The only way to track a ship in hyperspace, at least directly, is to plant a homing beacon. And even then, that is hit and miss. But the only way to do it is to plant a homing beacon on the ship. That's the only means of tracking. And so unless you can actually plant the homing beacon on a ship, which in itself is risky, given the fact that Star Wars Rebels, the Inquisitor plants a homing beacon on the Ghost, and the only other possible way of planting it is to try and find the ship when it's landed. So that can be difficult itself. So it's basically difficult. I mean, you've got to actually plant it. Most people don't really bother with it. That's trying to explain why the fact in Episode 8, the fact the First Order was able to finally crack the hyperspace tracking problem. But beyond that, oh my god, poor old Omega, she's lost. Echo went off to do what he thought fight the good fight, and now Tech's dead. But beyond that, I think Hemlock has got to be one of the better villains I've ever seen in Star Wars. And Star Wars has been known for good villains. Palpatine, Darth Vader, and so many others. Rampart, Tarkin, all of them were memorable, but I think Hemlock is a new level of detestable. And it just shows the kind of individual that really thrives in the Empire. It almost kind of reminds me of the Empire's Joseph Mengele, but that's just me. Oh, there's an energy coming off this guy. He's repulsive, and he really is. He's like the mad scientist gone completely crazy, as in completely evil. The guy might either be a psychopath or a sociopath. But besides the point, still see Crosshair again, and the Bad Batch is at its run. And the fact that Omega, they lost so much, and the fact that she does get caught in the end. Oh god. It's ended with a twist ending, and I really think, yeah, this is life under the Empire now, whether you like it or not. And it's only going to get worse. Yes, so the rebellion has to be done. But the fact also we saw Saw Gerrera, and I think a little bit of a fan theory of mine, it'll be Bail Organa, who's most likely had contact with Rex, and Senator Tucci and several others, who will use Rex's network to start laying the groundwork for the force that will bring the Empire to its knees. So at least some little bit of good has come out of it, I think, in terms of the Star Wars universe, but talk about a run. Bad Batch has given us so much fun, so much thrills. A well-likable character who may play a role in later stories. I think Hemlock should definitely play a role in later stories. He's that good of a villain. And I think Omega, I think she should probably get out of that place at some point. Then maybe the fact that the blonde woman we see in Andor could be Omega. We don't know how she ages. She might have a normal aging span, or maybe she ages as the clones do, namely 2 years to one from a normal. We don't know. But outside of that, whew, what a twist ending. And that's the end of The Bad Batch. It was a good series, a great show. It was entertaining. It was funny when it wanted to be. And it was a thriller in some respects. And even when it did a little bit of filler, it was quite good as well. There were standout stories, but it was good enough, I think. And it gave us a little bit more, and it made the Star Wars universe feel a little bit more alive. And also demonstrates the kind of thing that, and technology that sort of lies in the Star Wars galaxy. The mysteries that are yet to be explored. Details that have been teased that could play up again in future stories. Certain aspects I think could play up and show up in things like the High Republic. We never know, but it's only got a lot of it's only introduced a few interesting concepts, a lot of interesting details. It's both, for the casual viewer, it's good viewing and entertaining, and for the big fan who really likes the deep lore, oh god. It's full of details that are just oozing character. And it oozes the character that we see in the Clone Wars before. And the characters are just likeable. But that, I've been the Universal Challenger. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheerio!